Hello and welcome to the guitar tutorial for Veronica. In this video, I'm going to take you through the whole song and also offer some technique and production tips that I've learned over the years. If you'd like to download the tabs that we go through today and download a backing track to practice with, please go and check out our Patreon page where you can find those things there. A quick note before I begin, I'm planning on doing a big collaboration with lots of Red Hot Chili Peppers fans. If you play an instrument, please submit your cover of White Braids and Pillow Chair to me by the 10th of September. I'll put the details in the description below, but it can be any instrument, any section of the song, and I'm going to do my best to collate all of these parts into one big cover video. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what people come up with. So firstly, let's talk about the tone that was used to create this song. This is a pretty classic Stratocaster sounding track, but I actually used this guy, the Fender Duo Sonic. So I've said this multiple times, I love this guitar. It's really versatile, and if you want a budget option for a Stratocaster, I would definitely have a look at one of these guys. I think at this point Fender needs to start sponsoring me as a Duo Sonic player. But really, I love this guitar. If you don't have a Stratocaster handy, something like this would work really well. For almost all of the guitars on this track, I recorded using this Duo Sonic through my Vox AC30 amplifier. The amp was set to a clean tone for the most part, because most of our tone is actually coming from the pedals, so we're really just looking for any nice clean tone coming from the amplifier. So this track is pretty straightforward in terms of the guitar work. There's usually just one guitar happening throughout the entire song. There's a couple of overdubs here and there that we'll get to. The only exception is in the choruses, there's an acoustic guitar playing along the same chords that we'll go through today, so just keep that in mind. If you'd like to know more about how I mix the guitars on this track, go and check out my live demonstration where I went through the entire mix of my cover of Veronica. In the studio version, John probably ran the guitar through one of his synthesizers, and that's how he gets such a big stereo effect. I'm not 100% sure that that's what happened, but he did use it a fair bit on Stadium Arcadium, and this sounds pretty similar to my ears. In any case, we can recreate this effect with pretty much any tremolo or vibe type pedal or an LFO plugin. There's lots of different ways to go about it. I used a combination of my Moog tremolo pedal and Voodoo Microvibe pedal. The tremolo I have set to a fairly mild swell, and the microvibe was set to the highest speed and intensity settings. So that's going to be our default setting for the majority of this song. We're also going to need an SD1 pedal and a wah pedal, and I'll let you know as we go through the song when we're going to grab those. I'm going to cover today in 4 different sections. We'll go through the verses, the choruses, the coda, and then that little guitar solo right at the end. So this song is predominantly in A major, but we do have some borrowed chords from E major. The chord progression in the verses is A major, E major, and then F sharp minor. After that repeats, we have B major, and then D major. So we're just playing through these chords in arpeggios in a specific pattern that repeats throughout the song. So every verse follows the same repeated pattern. In the third verse, there's a bit of an overdub, which I think is actually played on a keyboard, but if you want to play it on guitar, it's just that B major chord, followed by the D major chord, but we're playing it right up the neck past the 12th fret. For that part, I cranked up the Moog tremolo with a little bit faster rate, just so that it would stick out from the other guitars in the verses. as we head into the chorus, we hold down that F sharp minor chord. And then we have a key change. So the key change is to D major. I think there's an argument to be made that maybe it's in G Lydian, but because the melody resolves on a D, I'm pretty confident that this is more of a D major key change. So for the chords, we have G major, D major, and then E minor, and then G major, D major, B minor. So this is pretty straightforward, but to make it sound good, keep a close eye on your strumming pattern. So the drums in the chorus have a very laid back swing, and the feeling is very much behind the beat. So really take your time going between the chords. So now that we're at the Coda, we need to turn off our microvibe and tremolo pedals and turn on the SD1. Coda is just more arpeggios, but the chord progression itself is really interesting. So we have F sharp minor, then A6, which is just F sharp minor, but with an A on the bottom. Then we have E major, followed by A flat augmented. And it's that A flat augmented that I want to talk about. Augmented chords are really useful tools in songwriting because it helps us transition or pivot to another chord or even another key. Our augmented chord here, the A flat augmented, we have A flat, C, and then E. So each of these have symmetrical spacing between them. That means there's a major third between the A flat and the C, and a major third between the C and the E. This is neat because as we continue to go further, the next note after A flat, C, and E is another A flat, and then another C, and then another E. You see where that's going? There's only 3 notes that are possible with that symmetrical spacing. So actually, A flat augmented, C augmented, and E augmented all have the same 3 notes in them. So you might wonder, how do you differentiate between A flat, C, or E augmented? And well, the root note is one key, but in terms of the practicality and the use of this chord, augmented chords are normally used as passing chords to transition to another key or another note. So what we're more interested in is what's called the leading note. And the leading note is typically a semitone below the note that we're trying to get to. We actually have a lot of possibilities of where we could go next. So if our leading note was C, we could resolve to D flat major or D flat minor. If our leading note was E, we could resolve to F major or F minor. And if our leading note is A flat, we could resolve to A or A minor. And it's not just those 6 different chords that we could resolve to, we can also move to the relative minor or the relative major of those chords. The way that John plays this, we're mostly in A major, and that's because of the chords beforehand. So F sharp minor, E major are both chords within A major. And if A flat was our leading note, we could then be resolving back into A major. But we don't do that, we actually resolve back into F sharp minor, which is the relative minor of A major, so it still makes sense. So we're essentially staying in A major the entire time. I think what makes this sequence cool though is if you really listen to that augmented chord, especially the second time round, the leading note isn't so much A flat. It's really C. And so it's begging to resolve into D flat major. But we never go to D flat major, we just keep circling around in A, so it never really feels like it resolves properly. And it gives us this sense of unease. In fact, the last chord of the song, John just leaves it completely open on an augmented chord. For the solo at the end, let's keep our SD1 on and turn back on the tremolo and the micro vibe pedal. The other thing I did was also just turn the wah on and leave it on for a bit of a treble boost. That can be a nice trick when you've got a few other effects running, especially old school pedals. You lose a bit of your top end, and just having the wah on can help boost the treble of your guitar back a little bit. You can also step on the wah to give it that shaking feeling and the wobbling that we get in the solo. But because of the way the solo is played, you're going to get a lot of that naturally through the guitar and the amplifier. So for example, the first note starts on a C sharp, on the B string, but then on the G string we're also bending up to a C sharp. When we play these together, there's going to be some dissonance created because the pitch of both aren't going to be perfect and they're going to start clashing a bit. It creates a pretty cool effect. Especially when you start really cranking the volume of the amplifiers, some of that feedback and the dissonance effect can sound really cool together. Okay, so that's the end of the video today, guys. Hope you learned something. Don't forget to submit your entries for our big collaboration on White Braids and Pillow Chair. If you can send me your part, any part you like, by the 10th of September, I'll do my best to produce the track and collate it into one big video. So I look forward to seeing your entries, and I'll see you soon. Bye. We love you the same way. Danger, danger. We love you the same way.
I'll play